Hey everybody, it's taken me a little longer to release my second episode of the DHR pod than the first because I got amazing feedback from the first episode and I really want to implement a lot of those strategies going forward for future episodes. One of those being filming an introduction right here to tell you guys all about the conversation that you're about to listen to. In this episode, I spoke with Rabbi Aharon Herskovitz, an actual graduate of Frisch High School coming from the tri-state area where I am from, and I'm assuming a lot of the listeners are from as well. He is the rabbi of a shul called Shevet Achim in a community that is growing there by droves in the past 5 years in a neighborhood called Kiryat Hasharon in the east side of Netanya. We speak about how he made Aliyah, all the different values that he tries to imbue into the community, the different activities that bring them together, the people who are there, where they came from, how fast they've grown, and just about Aliyah and Israel in general. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoy
The Aliyah story.
The Aliyah story. Yeah, let's start there.
Right.
Just to give you a little preference, I feel like a lot of it's important, even though everybody has one, everyone's coming. But
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times people who haven't moved here yet think that you have to be I have to be crazy to get here. And often I find that nowadays it's actually, people have very normal stories.
Right.
That's almost what I want to see more.
I didn't have to walk across a desert.
Yeah, I didn't have to no sea
It was a lot
split
easier
for me.
compared to many
I
people.
just filled out paperwork and I got packed up.
Yeah. All right. So my parents grew up in either not religious or less religious homes. And then they went through a process of Chazara B'Tshuva after they got married and when I was born. I'm the oldest out of 4. And as part of that process, they also wanted to be in Israel, in the Jewish homeland. So when I was 8, I think, we made Aliyah. I'd grown up in Teaneck mostly, and we moved to Kochav Yair, which is actually not far from Netanya.
Is there just a random spot? How did they get there?
I think they wanted a place that had some English-speaking Olim, but not too many.
And that was?
There's I don't know what it's like now, but there was a big South African contingent there. Also big fans of South Africans. We have in our community a bunch too.
In the other door, right?
Yeah.
Right in their office.
Hosted by them.
Yeah.
And it was a really different experience than what I'd grown up with in terms of, the independence, taking my bike around the whole place, get 5 shekels, so you get 2 slices of pizza and a bag of frozen juice. 92 to 93. So we were here when the Oslo Accords were signed. I remember watching it on TV, and not really, fully understanding what was going on. But we were only here for 1 year. It was a bit of a difficult adjustment for different people in the family. And so after, or sort of near the end of the year, my parents decided that we're moving back to Teaneck. So that was, at first when we were moving here, I was very sad, and I missed my friends very much, and then adjusted. So when we were going back, no.
I just figured it out.
Yeah. But also very excited to go back to, be with my friends all year long. I'd kept in touch with them, almost in my mind, I don't know if this was accurate, but I felt like every day I was writing to them, letters, because this was before email, internet. But
it's crazy that what you're talking about is not even that long ago.
Yeah.
And the way you're describing it sounds like it was Amish town in the 1830s.
Yeah. If it had been 6 years later, so we would have been emailing each other, but we couldn't. So we were, writing letters.
Right on the cusp, right before.
So then we moved back to Teaneck, but it was very much in our mind still about, in my mind at least, about being in Israel, both in terms of the family, in terms of, modern Orthodox schools, also the connection to Israel. And then at some point in high school, so the second Intifada had already started. It started I was here in the summer between 10th and 11th grade at NCSY Summer Cola. And it was it was during Camp David, basically. So right after that, the second Intifada began. And then I think that first year, it became clear to me that I wanted to be in the army. That was the first step of it.
Really?
Yeah. I think, because of everything that was going on, I came to Israel still in that summer between 11th and 12th grade. That was the summer that there was the Sbarro bombing right before we came, and some other things also going on that summer.
Was it kind of going around the camp? Were there other people, or you had a group there who felt like that, or it just hit you?
It was a small program. I was on another NCSY program called Jolt, which I think still exists.
Oh, it wasn't Kollel.
What?
It wasn't on Kollel.
Well, so sorry, I was on Kollel the summer before the second Intifada.
Okay.
And then, I enjoyed it, like being in Israel. It was nice. It was fun. I don't think at that point I was thinking so much about coming here. But what really started me in the process, I remember they had a soldier who came who had grown up in LA. And he came, we were a small group. It was like, I think like maybe like 40 kids, like 10 to 12 of us were guys. It was a mixed program. And he spoke about how he was maybe 2-3 years older than us, and speaking about how when he was in LA, like sitting, taking his tests in high school, and he was imagining his expectation of other people should be guarding my homeland for me. And he said, wait a minute, that's not right. Right? If I want to be able to come to Israel and visit it when I want, I need to also take a part in that defense. And that's what caused him to come here and volunteer for the army. So I was very inspired by that and started thinking about it myself. So that's really where it started, wanting to come here and be in the army. And then in that next year, sort of the last year of high school, I had also started learning a lot more by myself. And we had a really strong group of friends in high school that was very focused on learning the Frisch, yeah. And as part of that, also that it became added not just to the army but to live in Israel. That this is the place.
So even before you came for your year in yeshiva or anything like that,
yeah, my plan was to come here. I remember
a tremendous amount of follow through for a kid in high school.
Yeah, but also it's a mix, right? Because when you're that age, you're often figuring out identity, a lot of energy and idealism, and not always 100% thinking it through. Like I did, at that point in life, I thought, okay, probably at some point my siblings will come, my parents will come, but I didn't really, so none of them are here. Yeah, none of them are here.
That didn't happen.
Oh, maybe one day.
We're still time.
Still life is long, but yeah, I didn't, as a 17-year-old, didn't think of, what's it going to be like having my kids here and not having them have a close relationship with their first cousins, like. There's not something that's in the mind of a regular 17-year-old, and it wasn't in mine either.
It's not even in many of the irregular 17-year-olds. That's a whole nother,
Yeah. I remember when Rabbi Moshe Tarragon came from Gush to give a shiur and interview guys. I ended up going to Gush. So I told him right afterwards, okay, I want to come to Israel. I want to do Hesder. He's like, well, let's just start slow. Just come to yeshiva and learn, and we'll see from there. I'm like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, you don't get it.
Let me do it. And that is what I ended up doing. When I first came, I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll be the army and do Hezbollah, and then I'll go back to America for university. I wasn't sure. But within a short time after having come here, I was like, I think part of also why I wanted to come at that stage is that I knew, I think a lot of it was thinking about the future. In other words, that I felt like Israel is the future of the Jewish people, right? What's our ideology? What's our belief system 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line? God willing, Israel is going to grow more and more. So what I felt my ideal was that I want to be a part of that future. So that means coming as soon as I can, right? Because I noticed that it's, even as a 17-year-old, realizing that it's usually easier to adjust when you're younger than when you're older, when you're by yourself, than when you have a whole family that you need to make sure everyone's adjusted to. So that's a big part of why I wanted to come at a young age and also be a part of the Israeli experience and be in the army. And looking back, I'm very happy with that decision. I do think it made a big difference, especially these last 2 years. Yeah.
What platoon?
I was in a tank unit.
Sure.
So in my regular service, it was right before the disengagement, the Natkut from Gaza.
Wow.
So I was based...
were you involved in that at all?
No, my unit was based up north on the border with Lebanon when that was taking place. But every day, then we would, at night with the tank, every night, one tank on every base, we'd go out and, basically have an ambush near the fence to make sure the Hezbollah outposts at that point were right on the fence. Crazy, imagining it now. We would see them. We'd be 50 meters away from them. Staring threateningly at each other. So every night, so there's mostly it was at night, sometimes during the day. And then I remember every morning going to sleep for a couple hours and just sitting plastered to the news all day long, just watching, in shock, just frozen, seeing, what we were doing. It's
that's crazy that happening at that time in your life where you're doing what you feel like is the future of the Jews and you're putting that on, and then that probably felt like a big step in the wrong direction. I'm
Well,
assuming.
I wasn't sure at the time in terms of like what's the wisest choice, from a political standpoint, from a peace standpoint. But even just, in terms of the human aspect, like seeing, Jews going and removing other Jews from their homes that they built was
Also, even the
horrible.
long-term plan, I'm assuming, is that Israel is under Jewish control. Israel, the full Israel, and so even that,
Yeah,
no, but I'm
we'll
saying
see.
just watching that happen, I feel,
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
I feel like it's probably tough to see in
Yeah,
many
it was
different
very hard.
regards.
And then the
So
summer after that, that was the Second Lebanon War. So the way that Hesder worked at
you
the
were
time is that
probably
we were like
working.
2 months. So I wasn't there because the way that it worked at that time was that you like did like your main service for 14 months, and then you did 2 months like the year afterwards. But the 2 months was not a very significant time period. So they basically created this new unit with some tank guys, some guys from infantry, and they stuck us like somewhere near Karmei Tzur. So it was really close to the yeshiva, which was nice, but it was not like what we were used to, and we were sort of there so that other units could be involved in the fighting in the Second Lebanon War. So that's what we did. But then, every year or two, there was training for reserves, or we were in a specific area, once up in the Golan and in other areas. And then since October 7th was a lot of activity.
Yeah,
We were all over the
probably.
place.
Didn't know you'd be this involved again.
I did not. Yeah. So I hit 40 this past year, and usually you get exempt once you hit 40. There's a lot of guys in my unit that volunteered. But I had decided that I wanted to switch to be a psychologist, to be a kaban, Katzin Briut Nefesh, mental health
In the
officer.
army.
Yeah. And so I'm
Very, very needed.
Yeah, very much so. That's very much expanded. So I almost finished the process of that transition. So I was like normally with my pluga, like my tank company, it's like 60 guys, 50, 60 guys. So now my role is like 2 units above that in the brigade, in the chativa. So I'll still hopefully see the guys from my unit now and then, but be with others also.
So is that going to be like not just a reserve duty thing, but like a more job?
It is a reserve duty thing, yeah. So it went. So when the brigade is called up, I'll be also. But there is some flexibility that I know. I didn't realize this, but now I'm on all these more WhatsApp groups. I had a shortage of them in my life.
He couldn't get more WhatsApp groups in your life.
So I see, that it's like all the mental health officers for the entire Northern Command. It's like 100 something. I don't know how many exactly. And they're like, oh, we need, 2 kabanim for processing for this unit or that unit if anyone's available and interested this,
Okay.
2 weeks from today or that Wednesday. So I haven't fully finished the training, so I don't think I can do that yet. But when I do, maybe I'll do that also.
Finishing up soon?
Yeah. It's like mostly like a bureaucratic thing that I need
It's
to.
always a bureaucratic. So then you finished up your army service.
Yeah.
You went to what, Bar Ilan?
I did. Yeah, I stayed another year in yeshiva, and then I went to Bar Ilan to study psychology. I met, at the time, there wasn't a huge English-speaking population in Bar Ilan. Not like today. Today it's like crazy.
Today,
But
English
then,
programs there.
Yeah. So then there was probably maybe like 80 to 100 English speakers, I guess, something like that. So the Shira, who is my wife, was at the time in Bar Ilan, and we had gone out when I was still in yeshiva, in my last year of yeshiva. And after a month, she had ended it, and I was very sad, very broken about that because I thought there was a lot of potential.
And then you were right.
I apparently it seems to be going pretty well.
Yeah.
So then when I
Potential
started
to
Bar
start.
Ilan, yeah. So when I started Bar Ilan, I was like, okay, I need to
I'll play it
get
cool,
over
play it
this.
cool.
I'll play it cool. But I was like, maybe if I'm just like friends with her, that'll help me get over it. But then she was like, we can't be friends. Like we need to either be dating or
She's right. Yeah, she was right there.
She was right. So then debate like who asked whom out the second time. But then we started dating again like a few months into my year at Bar Ilan. Got married at the end of the year, and then we moved back to Alon Shvut. We both sort of were continuing our degrees in Bar Ilan. We spent 5 years, I think, in Alon Shvut. No, that's not true. 6 years. I finished the degree in Bar Ilan. I went to do my master's at Hebrew U. During the bachelor's, I was still like in yeshiva part-time. And then the master's was not able to do that. And then after the master's degree in clinical psychology, I went back to yeshiva for 2 years to finish, not really finish, but to continue
Smicha?
more intensely smicha studies. Yeah. Before I started the internship in psychology.
Okay.
And that's when our daughter was born. Our oldest daughter, who's 13 now, she was born then, which was very exciting. So it was really nice to be able to start our life in Alon Shavut, and a yeshuv, very like calm, nice setting. My two brothers-in-law were also there with their families, which was really nice. And I talked before about wanting cousins to be together, so it was nice from at least the other side of the family. And then we decided we needed to head out into the big world. We didn't
make our way.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
So we were debating for a long time what sort of place we wanted to be in. There was a lot of talk of us going on shlichut. We both were very much wanting to, give back to the communities that we'd come from. We felt that we had benefited a lot from a lot of people over the years, and wanted to be that influence for others as well. But at some point we decided, you know what, we're not going to go on shlichut. Our shlichut is going to be in Israel. We're going to try and make a difference here in this country. So we checked out a number of different places. We looked in Migdal HaEmek, where a few of our friends were moving and starting a garin there. We looked at some other garinim, Toraniim, and other communities, I think in Pardes Chana or Yehuda, I think, or maybe somewhere else. And in the end, we decided. I told Shira, I said, we move anywhere. There's one place we're definitely not moving, and that's Givat Shmuel. I don't want to go back to Kiryat Hasharon, right next to Bar Ilan. And that's where we obviously ended up moving.
Oh, you went back to Bar Ilan.
Shows my wisdom. Yeah, so we went there because I got a job, my internship at Tel Shomer Hospital. That's where I started it. So we said, okay, fine, we'll go to Givat Shmuel. But I said
JLIC type stuff.
So then at that time they were like starting it, trying to get it off the ground. So it wasn't yet officially JLIC. There was a community that existed called the GSC, the Givat Shmuel community. So someone connected to JLIC worked out some funding for us so that we'd be able to spend a not insignificant amount of time with the community. So we did some work. So it was like the proto JLIC. Then like a few years down the line, that actually expanded into a real and official program, which is very nice and exciting. Mm-hmm. But we did a bunch of things there in terms of giving shiurim. Like I remember riding around on my electric bike, dropping off frozen chicken soup for university students who were sick, which is an idea. So good friends of ours, Joe and Karine Wolfson, were the LIC couple at NYU for a long time. Now they're in Tel Aviv doing similar things with the young professionals there. So we got that idea from them. So we were delivering chicken soup, I remember, with our daughter Ayala, which was really nice. And then we were only there for 2 years. Things didn't work out at Tel Shomer, and things weren't working out for where my wife was working. And then we debated what the next step was. Continuing in Givat Shmuel with different jobs.
What year is this?
We moved there in 2015. This was in 2017, late 2016, early 2017. So I got an offer to continue the internship at Ma'aneh Yeshua, a hospital in Bnei Brak. But in sort of like very weird coincidences, someone approached us about going on shlichut to England with Bnei Akiva. And we had decided we thought about it many times before and decided, no, we're not going on shlichut. But he was very convincing. We had Michael Rainsbury, who I think nowadays live in Modi'in. So he brought me out to see what things were like in London, see what the position was like, and we decided that we would do that to go on this adventure of shlichut. There was a combination of organizations. It was the ones who found us were Bnei Akiva UK, but it's through the Jewish Agency, through Mizrahi. So Torah Mitzion wasn't involved, but that's how it came to be. That this guy who was, I think, running Torah Mitzion and looking for shlichim called me up. He said, "I got your name from someone at Gush. I want to meet with you." I said, "No, it's not relevant. Like, we're not going." He said, "No, I'm coming to Bar Ilan. There's a conference for shlichim. Come meet with me." So I said, "Okay, fine. It's a 15-minute walk. I'll meet with him, whatever." And he was busy. I don't think I even ever spoke to him at this event, but this other, a friend who knew Michael, was like, "Oh, talk to Aharon. Like, he'd be great for this role." And that's how it came to be. So it's thanks to Torah Mitzion.
So that was 1 year?
To them. So we went in 2017.
For 1 year? For
2 years. When we went, it was going to be between 2 to 4 years. We wanted to stay. It unfortunately didn't work out at the time.
Okay.
So we were there till 2019. It worked out for the best because we came back here at a great time for us and for the community, and also right before COVID, which, would not have
was changing
enjoyed being there for Corona. So we came back to Israel in 2019, and again we went through the whole process that we went through when we were leaving Alon Shvut. Where should we move? Should we move here? Should we move there? A bunch of our friends had moved to Efrat, to this new neighborhood in the Dagan. So we thought about that because it would be nice to be near all these people that we like. But we also didn't want to be near all the people that were just like us either. Yeah. We wanted to be able to be doing things and be active and be significant in a place. So we had not even thought about moving to Netanya. It had never been on our list. Right. We associated it from being in England with, who lives in Netanya? Retires. It's when you move from England to Israel when you're in your 70s or 80s. So then you move to Netanya. But there's a couple that we had gotten to know while we were there who said, we're making Aliyah, moving to Netanya. I said, really? We didn't know there was such a community that's for people our age. And then we got in touch. We knew some people who were already living here and other people who were moving here, and they told us more about the community. And we decided to move here very much as a leap of faith. We had not ever been here or seen it in our own eyes, not even like a pilot trip. But we said, we'll try it out. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And thank God it has so far. I remember still this couple that was making Aliyah. So he was responsible. He came to look at apartments, and we did not. But he took a video of this apartment that we've been living in since then, so for 6 years. He said, okay, it looks like a nice place. He said, the landlords are very nice people. So we said, okay, let's do it. And thank God it's been mamash, mina shamayim. I feel like, and this steady hand that even with all the difficulties.
So when you came, what was here? And what are we talking about?
From a community standpoint?
We're talking about, just so everybody hears, we're talking about Kiryat Hasharon.
Yeah. So Kiryat Hasharon is
East Netanya.
So it's East Netanya. Yeah. So when people say, really, Netanya? Yeah. It's East Netanya, right? It's different. Because it doesn't have, on the one hand, it's convenient because it doesn't have a very city feel. When you're sometimes in cities, you feel a little bit claustrophobic. The streets are small, the building is noisy. So really don't feel that. It feels much more suburban, even though there's, taller buildings, 8, 10 floors, whatever people live in. But it's a lot more spread out and open. It's more, newer Israeli urban planning. But it also has the convenience of a city because, my joke is that anything in Netanya is within 15 minutes from Kiryat Hasharon. Because we're East Netanya, but it's sort of in the middle. So if you want North Netanya, it's 15 minutes. South Netanya, 15 minutes. The beach, 15 minutes. Anything that you could want is thankfully within a short distance by car.
Sharad. That's 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
And public transportation is great too. You could get, our kids, our oldest at least, she could take public transportation, but if she wants, she could get anywhere she wants very conveniently, also, which is really nice. So when we moved to Kiryat Hasharon, there are a lot of shuls in the neighborhood. The Israelis, a high number of them are native-born Netanyatim. They grew up in Netanya.
That's
something about
Netanya,
right Netanya holds on to its children. So a lot of the Israelis were, local. And then there's a couple of shuls that have English-speaking Olim that are sort of a half to one generation older than us. They're 50s and 60s. Now they're becoming grandparents. Their kids are getting married, things like that. So they're centered in two shuls that are a mix of Israelis and B'nai Chutzar. It's mostly from England, some South Africa, some America, and other places too. And then at the time, we were told that there was an English-speaking community of people who were, I guess now, maybe 40 and below, 25 to 40 is mostly around 30 to 35 is the highest concentration. At the time, I think it was around 25 families, and they had just become an amuta, become a charitable organization or a nonprofit, I think is the official translation. And they, as part of when they started the shul, they said, we want to have a rabbi. We moved here not because of that role.
That opportunity.
Right? Yeah, it didn't start, but we knew that it was a possibility, and it was definitely a factor when we decided to move here. We moved here because of the community itself, not to have a role in the community. And then we gave a couple of shiurim and helped out with things and started a parent-child learning program at the shul. And then a few months after that, in February of 2020. was officially asked, went through the process, application process, an interview, and was voted on to become the rabbi, like, a month before the world changed forever.
Seriously, right before COVID
Yeah, so right
really
before
went
for
down.
COVID, which, I think was COVID itself wasn't a blessing, but the timing of getting this position was, I think, both for us and for the community, in terms of the fact that that I think it helped the community too, in terms of like getting through. I know that so many communities felt very weakened by COVID, by the fact that they couldn't get together, they couldn't have all these activities, but our community was very strong, and we had a lot of social events, distanced social events, and also made sure to have tefillah as a community, even during this time.
Outside?
Yeah, for sure, outside. But we jumped around from, this gan or under that building. But, in a lot of other places, the shul framework became sort of like crumbled away, and people, okay, they dive in a minyan close to their home, or, in this place, that's whatever it is. But we very much stayed together as a shul, which was really helpful.
Everyone's concentrated in like a close
Mostly
distance?
in one small area, but there are people who live like a little bit further away in the newer area of Kiryat Hasharon, or in the older area of Kiryat Hasharon. Each neighborhood has its own name, and I don't remember them all. But yeah.
And it was called Shevet Achim? That was the name?
Yeah, the shul was called Shevet Achim.
And now where are we holding?
So now we're, I think,
5 years
70
later.
plus,
6 years later.
Yeah, wow. 6 years later. So 70 plus members, families that pay membership, and been, a long process of trying to get a shul building off the ground. And I don't know, no ayin hara, so I don't know if I should even say. So we edit this out if it doesn't happen. I'll keep you updated.
No ayin hara.
But Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully closing soon on a piece of existing property, which has the benefit of, not needing to wait another 3 years until something is built.
Seriously.
But Be'ezrat Hashem, with a lot of investment on a number of people in the community, put in like crazy hours and effort, and oiling they're figuring out how to move things forward. So God willing, it'll be closing the next week or two, and then a few months to just set the place up, because it's it's not built like this area. I need to put in a floor and a ceiling, and then Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully in a few months.
If you have a floor, what do you need a ceiling for?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Gates of heaven are always open. We don't need to block it.
Yeah.
And so, what attracted you? What kept you around staying in this community? Why do you?
We wanted to be in a place that there was a cross-section of Israeli society, in terms of people from different religious backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, to really feel like we're a part of Am Yisrael. Even though we're very tempted to be in a place that's smaller, be in a place that's more like a yeshuv, where it's a wonderful, warm type of feeling, but also we felt that everyone's the same, and that's not really the type of existence that we wanted. So in our kids' classes, there's people whose parents have come from the range of the Jewish diaspora, which also has its challenges too. When you're with a wide range of people, also from religious perspectives. But we want to be in a place that has that wide range, but also at its core has a strong sense of identity. And I think that's true also with our community too, that we have a very strong identity that's centered on certain values that I'll talk about soon. But it's also very open in terms of a wide range of people feeling comfortable in our shul, which I think is a really beautiful thing, not something that's very standard in a lot of places in Israel and around the world.
When you were interviewing, or I guess in that process of becoming the rabbi and doing that, was it very vision focused? Did you have like a clear idea of what you wanted to do, or it was more like you just fit well with the people there?
I don't remember, honestly.
Well,
I think
does that
one,
leave you now?
Funny.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So it's funny because I was going to say that since the war started, like I feel like my memory has, especially over the last couple of years, like been intensely affected. So I don't remember things like that about what I was thinking at that time. But over the years, definitely I've thought a lot more about what it is that makes the community unique. And I think that in my mind, that there's three things that really set the community apart. One is the stress on Torah, on learning Torah, on Torah as a foundation of our existence and the center of our lives.
And so there's a lot of like programming?
So there's shiurim, there's,
How often?
So it's a smaller community and it's younger families. So usually people are a little bit less available at night. But right now there's one weekly shiur for men during the week and every other week for women. And then every Shabbat, like, is full of Torah because of the fact that that's when people have more time. That after davening there's a kiddush every week, and during the davening there's I guess that's the second foundational principle is chinuch yiladim, educating children. So we have that, two different tefillah groups for kids Shabbat morning. After the kiddush there's parent-child learning, which is a combination of the Torah and educating the kids. So we usually only get home like 12 o'clock. From everything that's
like
going on.
As a community, like everyone's like if you get invited for a meal or whatever, you assume that it's like 12:30.
Yeah, usually.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
There is now also the last year plus has been a hashkama minyan, also for people who like starting their day earlier, less faffing around, just getting ahead and getting shul, go home and have time with your family.
You should know just now. I just moved to Rehovot and I'm like looking online to see if I can find like what times minyanim are. I'm like, everything is like Nate's. I'm
so it's a very Sephardi thing. Yeah.
Like, doesn't everybody in this place not have a job? Like in Jerusalem, nobody has a job.
Oh, during the week.
You can find minyanim at all times of the day. Everyone there works. What's that about?
Yeah.
Okay, so Torah, chinuch yiladim.
Yeah, and then the last one is chesed.
Okay.
And chesed, I think, very broadly, like in terms of also looking out for opportunities outside of the community, but also within the community in terms of mutual support. We've had a number of families that the husbands had miluim for extended periods over the last 2 years, so much support on that level. Also, when people move in, there's welcoming committee to not just say, oh, hi, how are you, but also to see, bottom line, what can we do to help you? I'm not allowed to mention names anymore because I've praised this family too many times in public. So they told me to stop. But I remember, when
just
we
tell
moved
me what
here.
It rhymes with.
So when we moved here, we got here on a plane from England. We didn't know what we were getting to. Very tired. I think it was a night flight. Whatever. We hadn't slept very well. And we got to Netanya, and there was almost nothing in the apartment. Right. So friend, someone arranged mattresses for us to sleep on that first night, and someone else had arranged other things. And then this family, they brought some food for us. They went to a 24-hour bakery. They brought over food for dinner.
A 24-hour bakery?
Yeah.
Those exist?
Exciting. They do.
In Netanya?
Very exciting. Yeah. So there's an academic college here. It's right next to that. If you get a hankering for lachmaniyot at 11 p.m., I've been tempted always to go at 2 a.m, but I'm always sleeping, so it's not, but I know
sometimes you wake up
soundly knowing that it's there.
You wake up, you're like, I should really go. I should go.
Yeah.
And
it's nice. It's this innocence. What's open 24 hours? It's not a bar. It's not this. It's a
bakery.
It's a bakery. Oh, it's so beautiful.
But they know they need coffee and pastries to keep those students ready for those finals the next day.
Yeah. And then an hour, this guy asked, what are you doing? What's going on? And he realized we didn't have any food for the next day. So an hour later, got a message, I left some food for breakfast outside your door. And that I think is something, they're a very special family, even though I'm not allowed to mention who it is, but I think that's something that also.
But you all know.
Very, very characteristic.
If you're in the you know who you are. Okay?
I think it's very characteristic about the nature of the community itself in terms of the type of people that are here. And the fact that also so many of the families are olim, even though many of them have, either moved here with their families or their parents are here also, still that's very much, the mindset of wanting to help and support and look out for each other.
Is there a lot of gibush? I never know. How would you translate that word, by the way?
Team building or coming together?
Yeah, coming together. But coming together is when you don't have a good translation. You have to use 2 or 3 words.
Yeah. Melding. Well, that's a bad word. Unless you're working with metal. Or something.
Seriously.
Or maybe that's welding. But so there are a lot of events that have one of the perhaps the most active committee is the events committee.
They have a good time.
Shul. Yeah, so there's lots of events for kids, for adults, things like that. Last week there was a once a year pub quiz that a couple of guys arranged.
What kind of quiz?
It's an English thing. It's called pub quiz. It's like a trivia night.
In a pub.
Usually in a pub. So this year it wasn't in a pub. It was at Reuben's at a burger's place. but it's still called a pop quiz.
Love it.
And yeah, so that's a nice event, things like that. And even the shiur that I give, the once a week halacha shiur to men, it's centered on, like, that's one of the foundational principles of the Smichat Chaver program. If you're familiar with. Sure. So Rav Eliada Goldvich Shlita, who started the program, that's one of, no, so I give the shiur. But he exports he exports the program to like maybe even hundreds of communities around the world now.
Very close to here.
Yeah. We see each other now and then in Ranana. Yeah. My office is in Ranana, so it's right near where he is. So either
he's
we
doing
bump
amazing
into
stuff there too.
Yeah, he's amazing. Really incredible stuff. So around, and it's great because that's, the togetherness, and it's also around learning Torah together too, which is really really wonderful.
Is everybody like on Shabbos, or they all go into each other, eating at each other's houses?
Super friendly. When people come for Shabbat to their friends, there's been complaints that people are too friendly. That people will come up like, oh, how are you?
Are you moving
sometimes
here?
It's like a missionary type of thing. Like we're just here because we like our friends. We are not moving here. Don't bother us. So we joke around about that sometimes. But yeah, people are and it's nice because it's also tricky because in a natural way, once a community gets above a certain size, so then it's difficult to maintain that vibe and atmosphere.
Yeah, that's so. What I actually want to ask about that, because of that exact point.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of the things that keep the identity, even when you grow to critical mass, is a lot of the do people start their own like mini things like a chavrusa or like smaller book club, or I don't know, like as they're like little kind of pockets that pop up, or is everything centralized?
Yeah, I think people start their own thing. Lots of times it's connected to the shul or the community. Some of the things are more Torah oriented. Some of the things less, like there's a couple families started like a game night that they have at different points.
Nice.
I think it's still going on. I'm sure it's Tanakh
trivia, that type of game.
Yeah.
Or
I don't think so. I think like board games. Yeah. But yeah, we want to like have more and more things. Like the more that people are interested in different things and want to be active, then it's it's like a grassroots type of thing too. One thing that we're hoping to have once we move into the new building is also to have a community-based Beit Midrash that's open during the week, either at nights or during the day. We're trying to figure out how we'll have it moving forward. But we think that that's something that can also be...
You've got people who are like signing up for that type of thing, like talking about it. Would we be interested?
A lot of people are very interested in learning, so we need to figure out how to make it work. Because I think also that's part of our ideology too, is that we want to also not just be focused internally on the community, but also in terms of the wider Kiryat Hasharon community too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and people...
What does that mean? In terms of this Beit Midrash?
I don't know. We haven't figured out how it'll come to fruition, how it'll be expressed. But it's not just we'll have a Beit Midrash for the 70 families that exist in the community, but that it be something that.
Are you gonna like bring in speakers and?
Hopefully, that'll be part of it. Maybe also in terms of having like a program for kids after school. Kids who are a little bit older that don't have as many afternoon programs.
Kids
to have
love
something.
Learning after school.
We'll make it fun. Fun and exciting. But there's also something that I think is special about the neighborhood is that a lot of the shuls are connected to each other too.
Oh yeah.
Like there's groups where people like publicize, like there's like an ongoing updated list that someone creates where it's like a list of all the shacharit minyanim in the whole neighborhood, like by shul and by time. And it's not just because someone's put in a lot of work to gather the information, but because of the fact that there's connection. So we do things together with the Chabad shul that we're currently neighbors with, and together with this Israeli shul that, maybe the French shuls were not as connected.
Everybody does stuff with Chabad. The Chabad are good at that.
So
the French are tough to break into that crowd a little bit.
They like to be, be in their own thing sometimes.
They do them. No, that's fine. Is there like sports games?
They have on Motzei Shabbat. They call it football for fatties.
Nice.
I haven't gone yet, but I did play once soccer with the guys, then realized it might be better in terms of I want to be in a certain perception for everyone to have of me. So I don't know if for me running around playing football is going to strengthen that. There is also a basketball group.
No one's coming to their cheer.
Yeah. There's also a basketball group. It's centered on a WhatsApp group that it's called Ball is Life,
nice.
which is a quote of mine, but I don't know if people are But yeah, that doesn't meet as frequently, but now in the summer is starting to do a little bit more. And there's all sorts of running groups to also, like people go on either solo runs or like in pairs. It's like mutual support. Like people like post their run. I'm not in it, but people post their run, say, great job, it's wonderful.
I hear about it though.
Yeah, but I think that's also tied to the community.
In terms of, I guess, what are the ranges at this point generally of the ages of the kids? So
the oldest kids are in our community. I mean, there are like a few outliers, but the oldest kids are in high school now. So from grade 7 up, that's like our oldest daughter. She's in 7th grade. And there's not like a ton of them. There's maybe 10 to 15 kids in that age range. So we're trying to run programming for them, but it's a little bit harder because, it's not that many kids and they do have a wide range of interests. So it's not something that we're as successful with. But in the age group right below that, we're putting more of a stress on it because the massive age group is like, Gan Chova, 1st, 2nd grade. There's, lots of things going on for them on the community level. But we just started now in the summer, like a weekly Parsha class for the kids also, at like 4:30 on a Wednesday for kids going into 3rd grade and up. So it's mostly like 3rd through 6th graders.
And you get how many kids are showing up to that?
It's like 15 to 20.
Now I'm going to guarantee you that there's pizza at that event.
You are correct. There is pizza.
That's
what brings them in.
How is he getting kids in the door for something that the parents would agree to? You're not going to bring just ice cream. It can't just be ice cream.
No, it can't. It can't. For the older kids, you need like, meat probably. I guess it depends if you want the
No, but that's also, that doubles your budget right there.
That's true.
You
need hummus.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You need what comes out of the cow, not the cow itself.
So we'll do that.
So what are, for the most part, the schooling options for people in the area? What are you working with?
In the neighborhood itself, for primary schools, there's 3 primary schools that are religious. One's called Beit Sefer Avichai, Beit Sefer Roi Klein, and Moreshet Zebulun. They're all religious schools. There are slight differences between the schools that I won't get into now for recorded. Do
you have like just generic vision? Though, like how they identify, like a mamach or dati lomi, or?
I mean, bottom line, they're all like mamlachti dati. I think Moreshet Zebulun is defined as mamlachti dati torani.
Okay.
So they have like maybe like one extra class. It's not clear that it leads to different identity in terms of like the students that come to the school.
Jury's still out there.
Pardon?
Jury's still out for that one.
Yeah, I think it depends. At the end of the day, it depends a lot on the year group also, like which school.
Sure.
There are schools. In the home. There are other primary schools outside of the neighborhood that are a little bit more, Torani, maybe Chardali, maybe a little bit stronger from a religious perspective. One's called Barkai for boys, and Orot Rashi for the girls, and there's another one for girls too.
You say the stronger Torani, or things are more to the right, and those are usually right outside the neighborhood.
They're not in the neighborhood. I don't remember exactly where they're
like
located.
10-15 minutes.
Not far.
Okay.
Not far. So some of the community members send to there also, and that also it does depend on the year group. It's more intensive, like these schools too. It's like a longer day. It's not for everyone. It's actually usually for primary schools. And then for high schools, so for boys, there's like a really, long-standing Bnei Akiva yeshiva in Netanya, like very historic, decades long. That's experienced over its history lots of ups and downs. And thank God we live in a period where it's experiencing real up.
Nice. With
the Rosh Yeshiva, Yair Stadler is also a Gush alumnus. And so he's really like turned the place around over the last few years. So I think that all of the boys, well, maybe not all of them, but almost all the boys from our community who are that age are in the Bnei Akiva yeshiva. I think overall people are quite happy with it. For girls, there are other options also for boys outside of the neighborhood, but that's convenient. Like the kids bike there; they could walk. It's a little bit trickier to walk, but biking is very, very convenient. For girls, it's a wider range. There is a school called Bar Ilan, which is Opana, and they're building a new building in our neighborhood. It's a massive school. I don't remember if it's 6 or 8 classes per grade. What, they're
building or the one that you're saying?
It currently is. Yeah, the Opanat Bar Ilan. They're moving. The ones who are right now the girls need to take a bus to get there. It's not far. It's like 10 minutes on a bus, 15 minutes on a city bus. So it's like right over the bridge and a little bit further north. But they're making a new building in our neighborhood, so people will be able to walk there.
That's going to be convenient.
Yeah, which will be convenient. So a lot of the girls from our community go there.
So in 15 years, when that's ready, people.
Yeah, so it's a bigger school. So sometimes it's not for everyone, and also from a religious standpoint, there's some challenges, but they're hoping also to have it turn around too. We'll see. Different things in the works.
Other girl options? What other?
Yeah, there are. In Netanya, there's another opana, I think, called Orot, which is newer. It's a little bit more strongly religiously, a little bit more to the right from a religious perspective. So our daughter learns outside of town in Kfar Saba, in a place called Amana, which from 9th grade has a dorm, so she's currently traveling now.
Oh, wow.
So historically, like in the neighborhood, a lot of that, slightly older generation that I mentioned, a lot of their daughters studied at Amana.
Oh, okay. That's how you got onto it?
So that's how you heard about it? Yeah. So when she went, she and a friend who's a year older switched there also. So it was just the two of them from Netanya. And now, like in the coming year, there's like a few more people. So maybe it'll also become more popular. We'll see. And there's also a school in Herzliya called Tzviya, which a lot of girls from the neighborhood go to also. So for girls, it's a little bit more spread out than just the yeshiva here.
Okay. Now for people who move, well, first of all, how many people have moved here this summer? Summer's usually when everybody moves.
This summer, I don't know. I've seen messages about 3 or 4 families that are moving here, and I've been in touch with another like 2 or 3, and there's usually like, it's usually between 5 to 10 families move every summer.
Just show up and say, hey, I'm here.
So there's a family who moved here in like March or April, and then so it's usually every summer between 5 and 10 families that move here. Some of them move directly from overseas. They make aliyah and move here, which wasn't so much the case at the beginning of the community, but now people feel, and the schools here also really support people who are making aliyah in terms of like extra Hebrew lessons and things like that.
Nice.
So that's really nice. And then there's people who are moving from other communities in Israel, wherever it is.
So what other communities are people considering when they're looking at, like, what is this in the grouping of, and where are they coming from, and what else are they considering?
A lot of people who've moved here from elsewhere have come from Yerushalayim, Kivat Shmuel.
Yerushalayim, like Katamon?
It could be, yeah. A lot of times when people are moving from there, they like got married and started off in a place where they already were living and where their friends were, and then
like, Kivat Shmuel 101, right?
Yeah. So then they're looking for something a little bit more settled, but people have come from other places too, I think. Usually, from what I've seen from the people who come here to check it out, they're usually debating between here, sometimes Harish. Some families who were originally here moved to Harish, and the first time here, there were 4 families that left. Karmi Gat is a big, overlap in terms of places that people are thinking about. Sometimes Modi'in also, in the community there. Those are the main, it's usually not people that are thinking, either here or Ranana, for whatever reason. It's just like a different
Ranana is also a different age group.
It can be. I, personally have a lot of friends who live in Ranana.
Really?
My
There's
age.
a young...
Yeah. We're trying to renew things too. Yeah.
That I know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know about that. I knew that. I'm saying a lot of it is it's like a real teenager population there.
Yeah.
Teenagers
So really
to
strong.
me are the symbol of an established community.
Yeah.
Because you can't end up with teenagers for the most part. Usually teenagers have grown
They've
somewhere,
grown up
and you have to have been there for 10, 15 years to have teenagers.
Yeah. So that's definitely the predominant population. But there are people who I think in Ranana. I have to ask people from there.
Yeah, no,
that'll
be the next one, right?
Yeah. So he's really leading a revolution, I think.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Now, when people are asking you about the community, what do you? I guess what is the first thing that comes to mind? What do you
So some people from our community say, okay, we're enough. We don't need more people. You don't need to convince anyone else to move
It's hard
here.
to determine, because once you reach, there are certain stages, people hate on communism. Communism works in the home,
right,
in the family, maybe in a small
village, maybe. Yeah.
But then once you hit a certain critical mass, you really need to change structurally the way things operate.
Yeah.
So there is a point where you got to know what you want and what you're really trying to get.
Yeah.
But growth is also something that I think just out of human nature everyone's attracted to. It makes you feel great about your place when people move to it.
It's a good sign of success. So what I do, what I tell people is in terms of the 3 values that I mentioned, in terms of what I think sets our community apart. The fact that we do put a strong emphasis on Torah, but that we're also very warm and accepting. the fact that we really care about our kids and our kids' education, and not an ideology that says, oh, you send your kid to a religious school, they'll be fine. But no, like you need, the responsibility for education rests on the parents,
Right.
And as an extension of the parents, the community.
Right, you're taking a lot of responsibility in that, I see, because also especially because I'm assuming a lot of people don't have family around. They're coming alone and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, there was something that I wanted to ask about, I guess, Netanya in general. Has the city grown on you? Do you like, do you go to the beach? Is the beach a spot?
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
nice
A lot of people go to the beach. It's very convenient and close and like comfortable. You can go to like different beaches that are more family friendly, a little bit more isolated than others. Netanya has a certain vibe. Like it's very, very traditional, very, can be tough at points. Like people were, not in the most recent war, but at different points when at war with Hamas, they were joking about how Netanya doesn't get missiles shot at it because Hamas knows better than to
I also heard that
mess with Netanya. So I mean, it's more a function just of the distance.
Yeah.
But I mean,
nobody did get it. It has been, got some.
Yeah. So a bit of a quieter existence in both wars, like a little bit too far from us, a little bit too far from Lebanon.
I remember what I wanted
less
to ask.
sirens here than
I wanted to ask about the working class in the community.
Yeah.
Most people are remote, working in Tel Aviv. They have jobs
it's a real mix
local,
of people.
far away.
Yeah, a mix of people who are working from home or outside. I think it's most frequent for people to work in Tel Aviv. We're really close to the train station. From our home, it's a 20-minute walk, which is really nice. But a bunch of people have electric bikes or scooters, whatever. Then it's like no time at all. And then it's right on the train line. So if they're working in Azrieli, there are a bunch of people working in Haifa also, or other places, and in Pardes Chana or other places that they get to. Taking public transportation, which is super convenient.
It's like a very, like most of the people though are like high tech.
Yeah, a lot of people in high tech or lawyers or accountants. That's I think the predominant. There was a while where like we were trying to actively recruit like a doctor or two, but thank God we were successful. We have a number of medical professionals in the community now, so we sleep easy on Friday night knowing that we can wake this poor guy up at 2 a.m. like, oh, my kid's eye looks funny. Are they okay?
You're not the type of doctor that's going to give them that type of relief.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Beseder.
Yeah.
I'll tell you just what I'm just on the aside. What I'm really passionate about is that I think that we're experiencing a shift kind of in the mentality of people of I would say our generation in terms of moving to Israel.
Yeah.
Where what used to be just like a pipe dream of like, oh, when I get there, or if I can, or if the opportunity. It feels like if the opportunity arises. I don't know what that means. I don't know anybody that's come here without immense effort to create opportunities to be here extremely proactively.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays, really October 7th, I feel like was just such an identity day.
Yeah.
That changed the identity of the Jewish people on a broad level, and in many ways tied it really at the hip to Israel.
Yeah.
Like more than it's really can't ignore it anymore. Everybody's Israeli now, because now even if you're standing in Brooklyn and you're a Hasidic person who has no interest in Israel, doesn't care about coming, he's still getting beat up in the street the same way as the guy who's a flaming Zionist, going around New York City chanting.
Yeah.
So now everybody's Israeli. Okay, so I feel like in many ways also people's goal about coming here is materializing a lot more, and they're starting to think about it a lot more realistically.
Yeah.
Just not like, oh, if I can. It's like, okay, like how are we doing this? What's a realistic way? Let me literally look at communities.
Yeah.
And I think price-wise, and option-wise, I really like the idea that people don't know. I don't think about this place too much yet. You know what I mean? I think I want to show people just young, growing communities that you could still be a part of. You could have a say. You know what I mean? You could be involved, and it's realistic options, affordable. Much more affordable rates than you're going to find in a lot of the already established Anglo communities, let alone Jerusalem. That's that's already a whole other tier. But I feel like these type of communities are at the crux of this transition, because this is the exact time. There's a perfect time to have 70 families.
Yeah.
Because that 70, I think within 5 years, easily it could become 250. I don't know that that's what you want, but I'm saying
maybe it'd be another shul. There's no limit, no limit
for
on
sure.
the amount of
But I'm just
community
saying,
you
I
can
think
have
that
too.
that's what's happening
Yeah.
here, and that's also why I want to help people find it. You know what I mean? Help people see what's happening here.
Yeah. I think, I'll say two things to that. One is that I definitely feel that October 7th, both in its tragedy and the reawakening of Jewish spirit
And the reawakening sometime of anti-Semitism.
That's the flip side of that coin. And together with, I think also to another extent, the war with Iran and the miraculous, nature of both the victory and the defense. We're very sad about all the damage and the death that was caused here, but it was, much less than what normally should have been.
Yeah.
So I think both of those are our generation's equivalent of the 6-Day War. In terms of really, God, and Rav Soloveitchik, talking about God knocking on our door and saying, "Wake up, my beloved! Right now is the time. Let me in. Open up." And the question is, if we're going to hear that knocking and do something about it, or we're going to say, I'm tired. Right, I'm in my pajamas already. Right, getting back to his imagery, or on the flip side, it's too difficult. It's hard, right? I want to be in Israel, but it's not easy. Maybe when my kids are older, or when they're out of the house, or when this happens, or when that happens. So I think each one of us in Israel definitely needs to hear that call, heed that call, and I talk about it on the communal level in terms of how we need to change our lives. Right, we had there was a halachic discussion at the end of the Iran war. Should we be saying Hallel or not be saying Hallel? But the question, that's perhaps more pertinent isn't just, technically should we say these Mizmorei Tehillim or not, but what are we going to do? How are we going to change our lives as a result of what happened? But I think for Jews in Chutz La'aretz that it's really a call of, come home. That's I think, the big part of it. And
just on that point, I heard a phenomenal little piece by Rabbi Shmuel Silber.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Silver Spring, and he's actually coming to Israel, started a community here in Jerusalem.
Oh, lovely.
And he was talking about the idea of Tchias HaMesim, not as like the dead coming back to life,
mm-hmm.
but having a Chius from the Mesim, from the people who died, that now you take a part of it and you live on, like you were saying.
Yeah.
How are we going to change from it? How are we going to take the sacrifice and imbue it into our Chius, into our living, and you know what I mean? How are we going to respond and move forward?
Yeah.
I love that. I thought that was just so creative.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody talk about Tchias HaMesim like that. I think that's huge now also, because I think more than ever also, people know people in the war.
Yeah.
More than ever, you know what I mean, in the foreign landscape, everybody has a cousin, everybody has an uncle, everybody has a friend of a friend, everybody's got, everybody has sent money to different platoons.
Yeah.
For stuff like that. And I think it's just a lot more.
Yeah, it touches people. It's connected to people. With that being said, I'll add another point that I think makes the picture a little bit more whole. It's informed a little bit my clinical work. I work a lot with people with ACT, with acceptance and commitment therapy. Making Aliyah is hard. Moving to when we moved to England, we realized that a lot of the difficulties of Aliyah are just about being in a country that you didn't grow up in, not specifically about Israel. But there are unique things about being in Israel that are difficult also, and it's not easy, right? And people make Aliyah and they'll find it difficult, and they won't understand what's going on, and their kids are going to have trouble at school, and they won't feel like they're in the right place, and it's not easy. But most good things in life, most important things in life, there's also difficulty attached to them, right? It would be amazing. I was talking to a client about this last week, right? It would be amazing if you could just have all of the good and not have to deal with the difficulty, right? But a part of opening yourself up to love other people and be loved by other people means that you're also going to experience pain at points. You're going to experience hurt, right? That's a natural part of opening yourself up to positive things. And the same is true with regards to Aliyah. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's not easy. But that's a part of doing important things, doing things that give you life, that make your life different qualitatively than it would be overseas.
When people are moving here, everybody's in apartments, or is there homes?
The vast majority of people here are in apartments. That's what most of the building in the neighborhood is. There is a slightly older area that has more like duplexes and homes. Actually, also a slightly newer area that has duplexes too, but it's a little bit more removed in terms of like walking distance.
Right.
But yeah, a whole range of living opportunities here too.
That's it. People
Yeah.
people talk all the time. Like, I don't know. I feel like coming from America. Like, what happens to your backyard? It's true.
Yeah.
That is an actual sacrifice, especially because the backyard has actual real value.
Yeah.
That really can improve the quality of time spent with your kids and whatever. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
A real sacrifice. It's not that there's not.
No,
it's just what are you coming to and what are you giving up? Everything. I feel like also in a similar way. I always feel like people often have resistance to coming to Israel, and they'll say all of the difficulties about coming to Israel.
Yeah.
It's true, but guess what? Life has difficulties no matter where you are. There's difficulties where you live.
For sure.
The only question is, which battles do you feel more worthwhile and comfortable fighting?
Yeah.
Just where do you want to do your battles? That's it. It's not like you won't have battles.
Yeah.
It's just which ones and where.
And I there was something that a friend of mine, Rabbi Judah Goldberg, I've heard him say, I guess a long time ago, about 20 years ago, and it just really stuck with me, is that if you're a Jew who believes that the future of the Jewish people is in Israel, and that's the end goal, right? They were all going to end up here. That means that somewhere in your lineage, there's going to be someone who needs to make that step, who's going to need to move to Israel and take on themselves all the difficulty, all the adjustments, so that their children will have an easier time. Why not do that chesed for your kids and your grandkids, right?
Also, you guarantee that they all make it if you come.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's later generations, there's going to be potentially, every extra generation, there's a lot of potential for fall off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And we have here in the neighborhood, in terms of backyard, we have a wonderful large park that I mentioned to you before, the Sportec.
So that's also something that I'd like to tell people is that it's true that you have less living space and you have less outdoor space that's yours.
Yeah.
But it's people go to those public spaces a lot more. It's more time spent in those like communal areas.
And Shabbat afternoon, it's amazing. You have religious, not religious, Haredi. You have the Chabad guy. Sometimes the older guy, sometimes the teenager, calling all the kids together, right, and saying Shema Yisrael,
and then giving
together,
out the ices
and about the Rebbe also, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Listen, the Rebbe was great.
Yeah. But also in our neighborhood, we have what's called the Churshat, a sergeant team. It's like a nature preserve with these trees in it that in the winter when it rains, so there's like a pond and ducks come, and it's like a 5-minute walk from our home, and it's you feel like you're in nature, you don't feel the city at all. And it's really wonderful. Yeah. The name is a little bit tricky because that's where they hung when the Etzel hung the British sergeants way back when. But we don't usually really mention that to the kids.
For the ducks.
We say the trees are standing like sergeants at attention. That's where the name comes from.
That's where the name comes from. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Create the chinuch yiladi, right? That's what you were saying, right? It's
also a part of Israeli history too. But
They'll get there.
But we don't mention it to the British. They don't like it so much.
No, they're not so into that. Listen, everyone's got some blood on their hands. There's no avoiding that. The Seder Kamor. Okay, I really appreciate the time.
The Simcha.
I feel like if people listen to this, they'll have also, a real idea about the community and say, okay, either whatever the next step would be. But I feel like we covered a lot in it. Is there anything you feel like you'd want to say about it that we didn't touch upon?
No, I think that really covers the community.
The only thing I think the real glue of a community in a shul, is there a candy man in the shul?
There is. Okay. Daniel Mennick's our candy man, and I haven't tried to be too competitive with him, but I have recently taken on additional candy manning duties.
I've never heard of the rabbi being the candy man.
Really? So I was inspired mostly by Rav Yosef Tzvi Rimon in Alon Shvut. My brother, one of my brothers-in-law, actually no, two of them live in Alon Shvut, so we go there for Shabbat a couple of times a year. And the kids know him from Ratzim LaMishnah, from all these videos that he puts out. So from their perspective, he's a celebrity. So you go to shul and you get a candy from Rav Rimon. It's
from the celebrity.
So I asked him a few times, I'm like, how do you do the candy manning? Like, how do you, It's like, it used to be that I only told them like the specific times of dying. I realized it doesn't work. So now he'll give out candy if it's not during Amida or Kriyat Shema. So he says, because I wanted the kids to come say Shabbat Shalom to the rabbi. So that's what I do too. So I've noticed it's been nice.
That's a good idea. Now that you mention, actually, it's a really nice thing. Because also, otherwise, how else are you going to have like the kids, initiate any type of like specific or unique, you know what I mean?
So I'm nearing the end of a new project where I'm going to hopefully create, these like sticker books where they have that near the World Cup, it's a big thing in Israel, where you have like each team, like Brazil, Germany, America, whatever, they have like stickers of each like player on the team. Whatever, kids love it here. So I want to do the same thing for like mitzvot. Like I'm working on one now, mitzvot hatluyot ba'aretz. So like we'll give out the albums to the kids, and then like print like it's probably going to be like 50, 60 stickers, like just like 100 of each, or maybe 200 of each one. And then like instead of candy, because like it's not super healthy, and I'm also not so happy about just giving them all this sugar. So you come say hi to the rabbi, okay, you get like this sticker, and then you can trade it with your friends. I'll give you a shemitah for 2 yovels or something like that. Yeah, so that's a project. That's also ties in with the other identity aspects.
Yeah, it's funny. It's definitely true with the candy. I also we don't do candy really in the house or
Yeah.
candy ever. But there's something about when my daughter comes with me to shul and she gets like a candy. I'm like, good. Like I want her to have that like sweet treat. You know what I mean? I love that it's like almost like bad. Like you can't have it. Like I don't know. There's something actually like.
So we do that for Ani Mizmirot also. All the kids. There's too much candy, but it's okay. Like the kids all come in to say Ani Mizmirot, and then they're like, it would be better if they stayed in, but right now they head out and they get a candy like on their way out.
Nice. That's it. Everything's a balance. Okay, thank you so much. And if anybody has questions for the rabbi, I can put you in touch.
Feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
Nice
Appreciate
to meet you.
The time.
Sure.